Thanks for being with us this morning.
That's good. I'm glad to see you. You brought the rain with you too, eh?
Yeah, and thanks for this lovely morning tea. Very nice.
Excellent.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? And yeah.
Oh, well, I'm from the centre of the universe, which is Foster. Just a little bit further up north, see? And I grew up there, left and went to Sydney to live. How old was I? 15? 16? Yeah.
Nice.
Went down to Big Smoke to work, see, to get a job. In them little country towns, there's not much employment. You got to nearly inherit one when someone dies.
And so what did you do down there?
I worked in the rag trade. Various jobs, in different factories to start off with, but ended up in the rag trades being a machinist, mainly,
Yeah.
And I'm pretty good at sewing, to be frank.
Nice. And how did you get involved in education?
Well, that's a story in itself. After a 20-year marriage, and the marriage broke down, my sister-in-law, Joyce Woodbury, she was the Aboriginal teacher assistant at La Perouse Primary School. And Yvonne Bolton was the only person responsible for Aboriginal education in New South Wales at the time, worked in the department. They were directed by Jack Harrison, who was the director of special programs, to go down to Victoria to have a look at VAI, the equivalent of what is now the New South Wales AECG, and look at that model and come back. I wasn't supposed to go. Bob Morgan was supposed to be the third person, but he ended up with being sick and in hospital, and he's got a bad lung, Well, he's only got one lung, to be honest. And so they rang me, Joyce rang me, said, what are you doing tomorrow? This is on Saturday. Pack a bag, you can come to Melbourne with us. We're going down to VAI. They already had the ticket and stuff, So that's how I got involved, by default, in a way,
Have you got it's really interesting times that we're living in at the moment. Have you got a message to our young Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people as they navigate through this new world?
Not only young Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander, old Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. I'm in a position where I'm a little bit not panic buying, panic stricken with Rona. I don't want to put myself at risk, but for young people, and they keep saying on the TV that they're not as vulnerable and they should get about their business. The government is pushing people to get back into education. I think what needs to happen is our people needs to engage in whatever way they can. I know the schools have been doing lots of stuff in terms of accessing technology and stuff like that, and trying to get lesson plans done and everything, It's no good of thinking that this is a holiday. This corona stuff won't be around forever, and then people will need to be assessed in terms of what their education level is. It'll be hard to make up for it, but if you can stay on top of it, or at least stay in line with it so that you can catch up, because there will be catching up needed. People aren't used to doing this way, learning at home. It's different, completely different. But stay with it and don't forget you're a part of history. You need to be making some notes about that, because in the future when you have kids, these young fellas, they can say, I lived through that, and they become the teachers of history.
You've been involved in Aboriginal education for a long time. Why is that, and why is it so important to you?
Well, you have to investigate the history of Aboriginal education in this country. Access and opportunity hasn't always been available to us, and that's why I've worked from a community perspective in terms of trying to open doors or encourage people to compete, use their brains, so that look at the long-term point of view. Whatever happens, non-Aboriginal people and the colonisation or the impact of that, it's not going to change. It's there. We need to compete in the open market in terms of society and what we can do as individuals to make it better for our following generations. What does that mean for me? I would say to Aboriginal people, take the risk, give it a go, but do it while you're young. Don't leave it till you're old and your use-by date's nearly up, because then you can reap the benefits of that. But the most important thing is stay grounded in your identity as far as Aboriginality goes. You need to learn the history of what's happened in this country and then realise, hey, I've got some responsibility to some of them really old people who are dead now, because they have done a lot of work to give me the chance to go on and do something for myself and my family.